Welcome to Rathalos Watch. This is the 12th episode of Should X Monster Return to Monster Hunter Wilds. Today, we'll be discussing one of the original old-school poisonous monsters, Gypceros. As always, we'll delve into the monster in greater detail, covering its first appearance, overall reception, memorable aspects, visual design, combat style, and ultimately, whether it should return to Monster Hunter Wilds. We'll explore how Capcom could potentially bring back the monster, what they should or shouldn't change, what new interactions they could implement, and how the monster could fit into the next generation of Monster Hunter in terms of mechanics and design philosophies. Without further ado, let's begin. Gypceros is classified as a bird wyvern that was first introduced in the original Monster Hunter, which originally released on March 11th, 2004 in Japan and September 2004 in the USA. This toxic annoying bird prefers to live in marshlands and swamp type of locales. Sometimes though, it can also appear in jungles and open grasslands. Gypceros has appeared in every single Monster Hunter generation with the exception of the 3rd and 5th generations. His last appearance was in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. When you first encounter Gypceros, you might think it's a young Kutku's long lost cousin, but in reality it has very distinct features that set it apart from other bird wyverns. It's the largest of all the bird wyverns, ranging from a smallest gull crown size of 811 centimeters to the largest gull crown size of 1348.2 centimeters. Hunters can take on this monster for the first time in a 3-star village quest called Gypceros Venomous Terror in the old swamp biome in the Monster Hunter Freedom Unite version. One fun fact about this ugly bird is that it's the weakest to the fire element, but only if you hit its tail. Otherwise, it really isn't weak to anything else, no matter where you hit it. For many, it was an annoying monster that constantly tried to flash you, spit poison at you, and tail whip you to death. But on the other hand, it was also one of the original monsters that hunters faced if they got into the franchise back in the day, so it holds a special place of nostalgia in many people's hearts. Gypceros was also the next step up for many hunters after slaying the young Kutku with more tricks up its sleeve. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's the only monster that occasionally plays dead to trick hunters into attacking it. As for its visual design, I'd say Gypceros is decent looking. Its skin features a mix of blue and pink, and it has unique characteristics, like the large crest on its head. However, I don't think it's the most impressive bird wyvern out there in terms of visuals. That said, it is the large bird wyvern as I mentioned earlier, which is worth noting. I also have to admit that its tail is rather gross looking. It stretches elastically during combat, adding an extra layer of unease when facing it. The bird wyvern has a unique approach to combat and defense. Gypceros has a lamp-like crest on its head that can flash and stun hunters. It also has a short, extendable, stretchy tail with a bulbous tip that it uses for defense. Its most unique defensive mechanism is the ability to feign death, lying on the ground for a few seconds before getting up again. If a hunter stands on it while it's getting up, they will take significant damage, potentially fainting depending on their health. Last but not least, it gets a lot faster and far more aggressive when enraged. Gypceros is immune to shock traps and flash bombs due to its rubbery shock-resistant hide. However, it is very weak to fire, but only if you hit the tail, as I previously said. The best strategy for Gypceros is to hit its face with a hammer or the weapon of your choice to break its crest. Once the crest is broken, Gypceros can no longer flash its prey and becomes more vulnerable to attacks. Hunters can also avoid being flashed by running out of range. Gypceros occasionally spits toxic poison at hunters, so bring antidotes and avoid standing in front of its face. Many hunters find Gypceros annoying due to the flash spam and death fakeouts. Personally, I don't really understand the frustration. When you kill your target monster during a quest, the game instantly tells you quest complete, so you'll know if you truly slain it. The only exception is if you're hunting it alongside another target monster. The flashing is also easily telegraphed and is avoidable. Gypceros isn't a hard monster to hunt, and its gimmicks are easy to counter once you learn them. For me personally, his most annoying attack has to be his ridiculous tail. He loves to whip you with it constantly, and it deals a ton of damage. Plus, he enjoys spamming that side turn move where the tail hits you non-stop. That's probably the only move that's a bit tricky to predict. Other than that, everything else is pretty easy to avoid in my opinion. Last but not least, there's the purple Gypceros subspecies, which was first introduced in Monster Hunter G and later made its way to the US in Monster Hunter Freedom for the PSP. There aren't any massive differences between the regular Gypceros and the purple Gypceros, except that the purple variant has more vivid purple color mixed with green. Its poison is also stronger and is more resilient to attacks. Additionally, it uses its flashing attacks more frequently and chains them into other attacks. Basically, think of it as Gypceros on crack, especially when enraged. Now that we have learned about Gypceros' origins, visual designs, subspecies, and combat style, we have to ask ourselves if he should return to Monster Hunter Wilds. In my humble opinion, I would want him to return for one reason and one reason only: Nursilla. Let me explain why. In the lore, Nursilla hunts Gypceros for protection and as her favorite prey. So if Gypceros exists in Wilds and Capcom wants to stay true to the canon lore while pushing the ecosystem idea forward with gameplay dynamics, then then there's a higher chance of Nursilla returning if Gypceros makes it. Imagine Nursilla existing in the wilds and chasing Gypceros all over the place. This would be amazing to see, especially with the technology that now allows it. The ecosystem aspect is really what excites me about Monster Hunter Wilds. The future of gaming is pushing AI, and seeing AI interacting with each other in believable and realistic ways would be the next big revolutionary step, in my humble opinion. Watching a whole ecosystem and food chain play out would be a sight to behold. As for Nursilla, we'll talk about her in her own dedicated video in the very near future, so stay tuned for that. I would assume that Gypceros would reside somewhere in the Scarlet Forest. I also speculate that the Scarlet Forest has mini biomes, including areas with swamps. Capcom officially confirmed that the locales in Wilds are twice the size of those in World, and you can see a direct comparison in the screenshot in front of you. Just look at how massive Windward Plains is compared to Wildspire Wastes. Now imagine what the 7th generation of Monster Hunter will be like, let alone Monster Hunter Wilds, which is the 6th generation. Windward Plains is divided into several sections like big empty dunes, crags, and even grasslands. It would make sense for the Scarlet Forest to also be divided into a mix of jungle, swamp, and areas with a lot of water and rivers. Maybe there is a dedicated swamp locale, but I highly doubt Capcom would create such a massive swamp. Including it within the Scarlet Forest seems more logical, but then again, who am I to know? Gypceros would also be an interesting monster to observe. He could feign death to trick his prey before eating them, or use his flashing crest as a defense mechanism to escape from Nursilla or other predatory monsters higher up on the food chain. There are countless possibilities for Gypceros to create dynamic interactions between the environment and other monsters. Another reason that makes him a decent candidate for a comeback is that he has already skipped 2 generations, the 3rd and 5th. Many newcomers who were introduced to the franchise through Monster Hunter World and Monster Hunter Rise never got a chance to fight this toxic asshole. Now that Monster Hunter is more mainstream, I think it would be wise for Capcom to reintroduce one of the original wyverns to the new fans. Do you fellow hunters believe that Gypceros deserves to return to Monster Hunter Wilds? Or would you rather see something completely fresh and new? How do you see him interacting with other monsters? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and tell me which monsters you'd like me to cover in future episodes. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit like and subscribe with notifications turned on. Peace out and happy hunting.